because I know you've done a lot of work with mental health, and it's, you know, it's still rare these days, men being able to talk about mental health, but especially, you know, your side of a man, because you're quite a masculine man. Like you said, you come from a working class background. Like, where did the shift come with you setting up the podcast and talking about mental health?
The shift came from when I realised that I was fucked, right? Because what I was doing was, I was convincing myself that everything was going to be all right with my work, but it never was. It was never changing. I was never getting the opportunities I wanted. No one was opening the doors for me. And we're fucking talking about like 6, 7 years, 8 years on. I mean, my social media was growing and my fan base was there, but I always had that insecurity that, you know, the industry didn't want me and you know, just my ego was fucked. It wasn't until that I realised that I was 1 step forward and 2 step backs, because I'm like trying to make progress, but then getting fucked and arguing with my missus. And what it was once I admitted I had a problem, it took me a good few years to you know, I tried to go sober, and then I thought, no, I'll be all right. I'll just come back on the drink, and then it turned back. So I battled it for about 2 years. And what it was I realised that the only way I was ever going to sort my life out is if I made it my content, right? Because what I was showing on Instagram wasn't a true reflection of my life. You know, I was like, those short periods of time where my missus was happy, you know what I mean, and me and the kids were all right, I was like, hi guys, I'm being a dad and this is my family and da-da-da, and I could see the camera would come away and my missus would be like, this ain't real.
Who are you?
Yeah, this ain't real. And when I started feeling that, I was like, right, I have to fucking be honest here with my social media and just with myself. So I
used your flaws as your therapy, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And I did. I started going to counselling and everything like that. That was the first step. I went counselling. Admitted I had a problem. Then I was battling that, and then I was like, then I started talking about it. I'm struggling with the drink, you know, and I was never wanted to talk about the drugs because I just thought to myself, the big brands, the big distributors,
America. That's what will go. Yeah.
Yeah. I never wanted to talk about cocaine. I never wanted to talk about the drugs. I was just saying that I was drinking too much. And what it was when I started talking also about my downturns with my mental health, right? So. Or I'd like have paranoia, you know, outbursts of like thinking my missus was cheating or just like the world is against me and just being angry for days and all of this shit. And I was thinking, I've got really bad mental illness. I've got depression and anxiety. But then I'd stop drinking for small periods of time and the colour would come back into life and everything would start being nice and I'd stop being a twat. And then I realised it was the drink and the drugs. So then I started talking to my audience about it, saying anyone else out there that's suffering with drink and drugs, I'm going through the same thing. And I started being honest. The drugs are fucking me up. Like, I'll either be drunk and high at the weekend, and then I'll spend the whole week on a come down, and just as I start feeling good, I'll do the same thing all over again. So my whole life, I'm living at on a level of just turmoil.
Yeah. Was that hard? Being like really like...
It was hard, but I
you know, talking to someone about it is one thing. Telling someone you love, like your mum or your father, about it is another thing.
Her family.
Then posting it on like...
Her family and my family seeing it, that was hard. Yeah. But I fucked up a lot of stuff. I caused a lot of rows in our families and stuff like that. So then I just went, right, I ain't doing it no more. I'm going sober. And also I was openly talking about the bad stuff I'd done as a man. Do you know what I mean? The horrible things I'd said and the bad things I've done and why.
Yeah, it's taking an accountability and you're being vulnerable in that position.
And I realised that it shed me of guilt. You know what I mean? It relieved me of guilt. And the reason, sorry, I'm just talking so much, but the reason the mental health stuff started was as a result of opening up and talking about it. Obviously, I've got hundreds of thousands of men that follow me. My inbox started filling up, mate, I'm going through the same thing. How do you do this? How do you do that? What do you think I should do in this situation? Oh, I want to kill myself, or I've lost my kids. You know, I can't see my kids because of the drunk and all this. And I was like overwhelmed by it. I was like, I can't reply to these people because...
But you're given the power to help people.
Yeah, but I couldn't reply individually because I weren't qualified and some people were suicidal and stuff. And I was like, you know... So what I started doing was formulating my content around the questions I was getting asked. And then I created the group, Men and Their Emotions. I've got a group on Facebook, right? It's called Men and Their Emotions. And what it is...
Mates, isn't it?
Mates, yeah. And cool. What it is, I just done it on holiday and I was still drinking at this point. I was on and off drinking. I was lying about drinking.
Right.
So I was on holiday, but I was saying I was sober, but I was still having a couple of beers here and there, but I weren't getting smashed.
Yeah.
But then but then the switch went and I went off the rails again.
Yeah.
So it was during this really hard time for me. So I was struggling, but I created this group on Facebook where lads can join the group. They can anonymously write something like, I'm addicted to gambling, drinking, or, you know, my missus won't let me see the kids, or I'm cheating, or whatever. Just really hard, or I'm suicidal. They can anonymously post, and then lads in the group can chip in, right?
Okay.
So I realised that it was a powerful thing because the lads in there that weren't writing nothing saw they weren't on their own, because I shared a load of variety of things. So the lads in there, I've got like 19 moderators that help me with it now.
Wow.
But the lads in there realised they weren't on their own because other people are going through the same shit, and you can read advice even if you ain't got the guts to post. And you can help if you've been through something. That was a great thing for me. I love helping people that are going through the same thing.
How many people are in there, if you don't mind me asking?
38,000 lads now.
Wow. Amazing. And mainly from the UK?
I'm not sure, but 38,000 lads. And then I started my podcast, and I guess I slowly become a bit of a mental health advocate for that stuff. But I just think that I've got a wealth of experience with casual drinking, you know, where lads don't think they've got a problem just because they're fucking their lives up on the weekend, and to show that there's life outside of it. Sobriety can be good.
I think the biggest thing with that is you're creating this community. Yeah, you're creating this community where, you know, you're talking from experience, and that is just such a powerful impact on these people. You know? Yeah,
I think you're right, mate. Yeah, I mean, would you go and sit in front of a therapist that's like a upper class, well spoken therapist?
Absolutely not.
That's been to medical school, whatever, and that's never been there at 4 o'clock in the morning ripping the end off his dick to fucking porn because he sniffed too much gear. No.
Yeah, there's not many people like I've always found you so relatable. Like I've always been able to like.
True, see what I mean? You need help, mate.
Took me a second. Took me a second to process that.
You were like, yeah, and he was like, is he fucking watching?
No, because I've said to Jay, look, I take therapy all the time. Yeah. And whenever people say to me, do you take therapy? They think it's something wrong with it. No, it's completely normal. So if someone in the US is not here, I say to them, like, if you ever want to use it for free, and I'll give it to you. Because it's not all...
In America, it's fucking part of the norm.
Well, no, do you know what? Everywhere else in the flipping world, apart from the UK, it's like, if you're not taking therapy, what are you doing? You should be.
Yeah.
Here, there's that sort of stereotype of you taking therapy, there's something wrong with you. It's not. It's completely not.
And you, like, lads feel embarrassed to do so. Do you know what I mean? Like, to talk to someone about it.
Yeah, I've definitely divided my audience, you know, because I grew an audience on the sesh. I made songs about the sesh. I had a fucking top 20 hit called Proper Naughty Sesh. And it was like, you know...
got a sesh monster. Is it a sesh monster?
Yeah, the sesh gremlin. I mean, like, a lot of my... everything that I create is a reflection of my life. Yeah. And that was true, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I weren't waking up in the morning doing drugs or drinking, but by fucking Wednesday or Thursday, the sesh gremlin began, you know what we want to do this weekend, don't you? And I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, my missus would be talking to me, but the voice would be going, tell her to fuck off, we're getting a package.
That mirrors your content, doesn't it? Because you like this, and then like that.
That is 90% of like my friends growing up. Any group of lads I know, that's their life.
It's
getting hammered as they can at the weekend, and then that does carry on into later life.
And that this is what I've learned, and this is really, you know, I don't want to be like a fucking guru or nothing like that, but and I've had to swallow that a lot of lads that follow me are like, fuck off, man, I don't want to listen to this stuff. I'm following, right? Because it's hard, like, some of my mates don't even knock about with me no more, because it's like holding a mirror up to them, and the only time they want a mirror held up to them if it's covered in fucking cocaine. Do you know what I mean? They're on it. They're still on it. Yeah. Don't hold a mirror up to me and there's lines on it. I'm like, no, but you hold a mirror.
Look at yourself.
Yeah, you hold a mirror up to by me saying I've got a fucking problem, when these lads are going, you're a fucking rookie. What are you talking about? You ain't got a problem.
Yeah.
And then they're like, fucking hell, mate. If you've got a problem, then I'm fucked. And that happens with my audience. But I had to swallow that, because I thought, like, where's my direction? What am I giving back here? At the beginning of this year, I thought, now I've got my tour. I'm back in the commercial industry, essentially. All the venues 28 venues across the UK, they all fucking refused to take me at one point. Now they've all said yes. I'm like, I've got this opportunity. I'm making films now. Hopefully some of them are going to get distributed. There's talks about loads of other stuff. I'm on GB News doing a bit of TV.
Oh, yeah, I saw that as well.
So I'm like, right, okay, don't panic.